I want a divorce. My voice was numb, resolute. When you've stockpiled enough disappointment, the outward expression is no longer rage or hysteria, but a profound, hollow calm. Are you sure about this? My wife, no, my soon-to-be ex-wife, Evelyn, asked, her tone breezy and light. Of course. In her world, what was I really? A tool to be summoned and dismissed at her whim. Her life was a dazzling show she starred in, and I wasn't even a supporting character. It was pathetic, laughable, that I once lost sleep hoping for a single glance from her. Is this just because I decided to take the fellowship abroad without talking to you? Is that it? Her eyes held a genuine, uncomprehending confusion. To her, this was just another one of my irrational episodes. A man obsessed with trivialities. Whatever. Let her think what she wants. It didn't matter anymore. She hadn't just not discussed it with me. She had informed her parents, her friends, and Julian, the one that got away, her perpetual what if. I was the last to know, the punchline to a joke I hadn't even heard. This wasn't the first time, of course. It was a perfect snapshot of the last 11 years. We dated for 3 and been married for 8. 11 years. I used to think that with enough persistence, I could melt an iceberg. I never imagined she was a block of granite, a fossil so hard it would never change. Her plans, her feelings, her career, her connections. I was always the last to know, if I was lucky enough to find out all. Connor, do you have any idea how ridiculous you sound? Yeah, I know. I finally looked up at her. Of course I knew. The whole world was laughing at me. You're acting like a child, throwing a tantrum, and using divorce as a bargaining chip. Don't you think that's incredibly immature? You're right. A man like me doesn't deserve you. So let's just get the divorce. She turned her face away, speechless. She probably never expected this. She never thought I'd be this determined. The story of the boy who cried wolf really does numb people to the real danger. I had probably fought and argued so many times in the past that she just assumed this was another desperate bid for attention. But this time, I wasn't fighting for anything. Not for her heart, not for her attention, not for any part of her. I was giving it all back. All I wanted was my freedom. I'm going to give you one last chance, Evelyn said, her words ground out between clenched teeth. Think very carefully about what you really want. On any other day, I would have already cracked a joke or run over to her like a devoted lapdog, apologizing, trying to make her smile, ending the fight with a predictable makeup session in the bedroom. But not today. I'm human. I have dignity. I didn't want the last chance she was offering. Let someone else have that privilege. Someone like her perfect Julian Croft. You said it, not me. Don't you regret this? She snapped. With that, she spun around and walked away. The sound of her heels on the hardwood floor faded from near to far, until there was only silence. It will all pass, I told myself. Hang in there, Connor. You won't die without Evelyn Reed. The divorce was processed quickly. There were no assets to fight over. Even as she held the signed divorce decree, she seemed to lack a sense of finality, as if she still believed I was just throwing a prolonged fit. I moved out of our sprawling 10,000-square-foot penthouse loft and back into my own 2,000-square-foot condo. Compared to the average guy, I was doing well for myself, a top-tier professional. But Evelyn was royalty. The chasm between us had always been there. She was a Ph.D. in finance, the youngest tenured professor in her department at Northwood University, admired by her superiors, envied by her colleagues, idolized by her students, coddled by her parents, and defended by her friends. And then there was me, her simp, who loved her with a self-destructive passion. She already had so much. She wouldn't miss one less person in her orbit. I touched my cheek and felt the dampness of tears, a bitter smile twisting my lips. So I could still cry. Men don't cry easily, but only because the pain hasn't cut deep enough. But this was the last time. I swore it. Evelyn had been a campus legend. She had eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies, sometimes misty and distant, other times sharp as ice. You could get lost in them if you weren't careful. Her tall, elegant frame meant she could pull off any style. The first time I saw her was at a corporate party a friend had dragged me to as his wingman. She was wearing a simple, black slip dress. That whole love at first sight thing? In that single moment, I finally understood it. From then on, I began my relentless pursuit. I was there whenever, wherever she needed me. No matter how exhausted or beaten down I was from my own life, in front of her, I was a bottomless well of energy, the guy who could always make her laugh. After she got her doctorate, I pulled every string I could to help her secure a faculty position at Northwood. At a university fundraiser, I made an absolute fool of myself, cornering the dean and drinking him under the table, all to get her a spot. I ended up in the ER that night with alcohol poisoning. Maybe it was that desperate display that moved her, that made her decide to marry me. Or maybe she had just reached that age, her family was pressuring her, and I was a suitably convenient candidate. So she chose me. It was only much later that I learned her position at the university had already been secured long before my drunken performance. At the time, I had felt so touched, so moved by the purity of my own devotion. Now I just feel ridiculous, my cheeks burning with the memory of my own ignorance. I won't be home for dinner tonight, she informed me one evening as she was heading out the door. But it's my birthday. The only answer I got was the solid, definitive click of the door shutting. So be it. That night, I made myself a sad bowl of instant ramen. Happy birthday to me. Bored, I scrolled through my Instagram feed when a new post from her best friend caught my eye. The caption read, "Mission from the Queen is a go. Surprise is ready." The picture showed a massive birthday cake, a private VIP lounge at a karaoke bar, and custom birthday banners everywhere. I shot straight up in bed, a grin spreading across my face that I couldn't suppress. She hadn't forgotten. She was planning a surprise for me. Evelyn, how can I not love you? I quickly closed Instagram, my mind racing. How should I act when she called? I should pretend I knew nothing. I leaped out of bed and rushed to shower and brush my teeth, then tore through my closet looking for the right outfit. She was wearing a pale lavender mermaid dress today, a look that was both alluring and soft. No wonder she was dressed like that. It was for my birthday. I couldn't help but hum a cheerful tune, my heart feeling so light it could fly. After an hour of frantic preparation, I checked the time. It should be soon. I looked at my phone, and I missed a text or a call. Maybe she had one of her friends contact me instead? Nothing. I checked again and again. Still nothing. I checked my cell service. Full bars. I opened Instagram again and went to her friend Chloe Bennett's profile. She had posted a new update, a toast to soulmates finding their way. The photo was of a large group of people, Evelyn included, gathered around the guest of honor, Julian Croft. My heart grew colder, sinking degree by degree. I could only imagine how pale my face must have been, as white as a ghost's. So, it was Julian's birthday. The surprise was for him. "Connor, the boss wants to see you." A colleague tapped my shoulder, pulling me out of the memory. I rubbed my temples, trying to smooth the deep furrow in my brow. Why was I thinking about this again? "Connor, you're divorced now. The past doesn't matter." I reminded myself one more time. I walked into my boss's office. "What's up, Mark?" "Connor, the company is launching a new investment and financing division, and we've brought on a financial consultant. She wants to get up to speed on our current operations, and I want you to be her point person." "Okay, sounds good." I had known the company was expanding, and I was always focused on my career. If this was a chance to move up, I'd take it. "Do you have a name for the consultant?" "A contact. I wanted to get a head start on preparing the materials to be more efficient. Her name is Dr. Evelyn Reed. I'll share her contact with you in a minute." A wave of bitter irony washed over me as I walked out of Mark's office. Of all the people in the world, it had to be her. Still, work was work. I was professional enough to keep business and my personal life separate. A ding from my phone announced a new text. It was her, Evelyn. "Not sure if you heard, but I'll be consulting for your company. Connor, just got the news. Welcome. Let me know what you need, and I'll get it ready. Evelyn, let's discuss it at my place tonight." I snorted. The woman who spent years pushing me away was now inviting me over. How times have changed. "Connor, that's not a good idea. You can text me a list of what you need or leave a voice message." I rejected her without a second thought. "I want to know more entanglement." "Evelyn, are you afraid of me?" "Connor, I'm sorry, Dr. Reed, but I can't answer questions that aren't work-related." My tone was mechanical. I no longer had to cater to her moods. My professional stonewalling must have worked, because she stopped sending pointless messages. In a way, it was better now. She could finally be with her Julian openly and honestly, without having to hide their connection. But just as one fire was put out, another started. Her friend, Chloe Bennett, began blowing up my phone. Did they coordinate this? "Chloe, Connor, you free tomorrow night?" I barely even knew her, but she'd always been overly familiar. I didn't particularly like her. She had been a key enabler in the whole Evelyn and Julian emotional affair. "Connor, Chloe, it's my birthday. Can you come celebrate with me?" Her nerve almost made me laugh. "On my birthday, you helped my wife celebrate with another man, effectively handing me my own humiliation. Now it's your birthday, and you have the audacity to invite me? Chloe, if you come, I'll tell you a huge secret." "Connor, not interested." "Chloe, it's about your father-in-law." Those last words gave me pause. No matter how Evelyn had treated me, her father had always been good to me. If something was seriously wrong and I just ignored it, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. Fine, let's see what kind of game she was playing. The next day after work, I drove to the address Chloe had sent me. It was Aura Lounge, an exclusive, members-only club where you needed reservations far in advance. A valet took my car, and a host led me down a long, narrow corridor to an elevator that took us to a private suite on the 7th floor. The elevator doors opened directly into a large, open-plan room. The space was already decorated with birthday banners and an entire wall of fresh flowers spelling out, "Happy Birthday." I pushed open the door to the main party room and was met with a crowd of familiar faces. The moment the door opened, every head turned in my direction. The expressions that flashed across their faces were priceless. Chloe was the first to recover. She rushed over, grabbing my arm. "I invited Connor," she announced to the group. "We're all friends. The more the merrier, right?" The close contact made me uncomfortable, and I gently pulled my arm from her grasp. Chloe didn't seem to mind, simply pulling me further into the gathering. Evelyn and Julian were already there, sitting close together, their outfits tastefully coordinated. "Wow, Chloe, look at this turnout for your birthday. It's even bigger than Julian's party." A girl named Jessica chimed in, clearly trying to break the awkward tension. Then she turned to me. "Connor, how come you weren't there for that?" "Because that was my birthday too," I said flatly. My words hung in the air, freezing the entire room. Evelyn's face flushed, then paled, her expression unreadable. In the past, I would have put her feelings first, never daring to say something so blunt in a social setting. Now I put myself first. "Oh, come on, let's not talk about the past," Chloe chirped, trying to salvage the mood. "It's my birthday today. Everyone's here, so let's cut the cake." I stood off to the side, a cold observer, watching them sing "Happy Birthday," make wishes, and cut the cake. I wondered how many of them were genuinely here to celebrate. I know I wasn't. "Come on, Connor, you're already here. Why don't you join in?" Chloe was back, tugging at my arm again. For some reason, she seemed determined to make physical contact tonight. "He's always such a buzzkill," Evelyn muttered from beside Chloe, her tone dripping with the same old disdain. I refused to get into a war of words with her. I turned to Chloe. "The secret you promised to tell me?" Chloe looked up at the ceiling with a theatrical innocence, then feigned ignorance. "What secret? There's no secret. You're here to celebrate my birthday. Plus, Evelyn just got back from a business trip to Hong Kong, so I thought I'd give you two a chance to reunite." A little surprised, I felt my face tighten. So, Evelyn hadn't told anyone we were divorced. As for why, I couldn't be bothered to guess. "We don't need to reunite. We're all ready." Before I could get the words out, Evelyn stepped in front of me, her face a clear mask of disapproval. "We're already divorced," I announced calmly, finishing my sentence. The look in Evelyn's eyes was murderous, but I wasn't afraid. "Is this what you wanted?" she hissed, her voice low. "To ruin someone's birthday party with this miserable, boring announcement?" "Yes, this is exactly what I wanted. Now that I've announced it, it saves you the trouble, doesn't it?" "What is that supposed to mean?" Evelyn shouted at me, shocked that the man who was once like putty in her hands had suddenly developed a spine of steel. "It's a good thing, of course. Now, Julian doesn't have to sneakily hold your hand under the table anymore. He can do it right out in the open." Evelyn was trembling with rage, stunned that I would humiliate her so publicly. My purpose served. I turned to leave, not wanting to spend another second in that room with those stunned, silent faces. After hammering out the project plan, I leaned back in my chair at my desk, exhausted. Mark mentioned the financial consultant was coming in today. My mood soured. As much as I didn't want to see her face again, I had to pull myself together. Just before 11, Evelyn arrived. She wore a tailored white pantsuit, her hair pulled back in a low ponytail that perfectly framed her high forehead and elegant features. She was flawless, and her entrance immediately captured the entire office's attention. My colleagues whispered about how lucky I was to get to work so closely with her. I sighed internally. If you only knew. In the conference room, I mechanically recited the details of our company's operations. Evelyn stared at me, her gaze so intense it started to make my skin crawl. In 8 years of marriage, she'd never looked at me with such focus. "You've lost weight," she said, the comment coming out of nowhere. "I'd rather not discuss topics unrelated to work. Why did you tell everyone we're divorced?" Now it was my turn to look at her, bewildered. Wasn't this a good thing? Announcing it sets you free, and it sets me free. It's good for both of us. Why would not? Why do you always have to be so narrow-minded? I have told you 1,000 times that Julian and I are just friends. I never betrayed you. Can't you see the bigger picture for once? My perspective, big or small, is no longer your concern. Though she was still raising her voice, her anger didn't affect me this time. I was completely calm, stating a simple fact. Evelyn took a deep breath, clearly trying to rein in her frustration. "Fine, let's go back. The divorce agreement can be revoked. We can pretend none of this ever happened." "Impossible." "Why?" "Because I'm done, Evelyn. I'm done with you. Evelyn stared at me in disbelief, as if I were speaking a foreign language. For the first time, I saw a flicker of panic in her eyes. It would be a lie to say I didn't feel a small, vindictive thrill. After a long silence, she looked down. My dad said he wants you to come over for dinner tonight, she mumbled. Her voice was laced with a plea, trembling almost imperceptibly. I knew this was her, pushed to her absolute limit. But no matter what she did, there was no going back for me. That's your business. It has nothing to do with me. Her head snapped up, and she grabbed my arm in a panic. I haven't told him yet. He'll never agree to it. Just help me. Just pretend, just for one night. Not chance. I didn't avoid her gaze, letting each cold word land with finality. Is there anything else you need to know about the business? If not, I'm leaving. I started to stand up, not wanting to give her any more of my time. One more thing, she said quickly. The procurement channels. I need to understand those better. So, I had to sit back down and walk her through the logistics of our supply chain. After I was done, other department heads came in one by one for their turn. The day flew by. My stomach rumbled as I walked to my car and clicked the key fob. My trusty old sedan lit up. That woman, Evelyn, had kept me talking for half the day, making me miss lunch. Did that mean she hadn't eaten either? Who cares? If she starved, what was it to me? Just as I was about to open my car door, I heard the click-clack of heels behind me. Before I could even turn, the passenger door was yanked open, and Evelyn slid into the seat. She shot me a smug, triumphant smile, arching an eyebrow as if to challenge me. I sighed in exasperation. Had she always been this clingy? Get out. She sat perfectly still in the passenger seat, pretending not to hear me. I saw a few colleagues leaving the office building and walking toward the parking garage. I want to make a scene. I had no choice but to get in the car and start the engine. I had to get out of here before we were spotted together. It would only lead to more complications. I drove out of the garage and pulled over on the first quiet side street I could find. Get out. By now, Evelyn had taken off her work hair tie and replaced it with a colorful silk ribbon, letting it float gently behind her head. It was a soft look, almost angelic. Anyone would be fooled by that appearance, never guessing that beneath the gentle exterior was a heart of stone, imperious and unyielding. Arguing with her like this was getting me nowhere. I decided to get out, walk around her side, and physically pull her out of the car. But before my hand even touched the driver's side door handle, she leaned across the center console and threw her arms around me like a koala. Connor, please, she begged, her voice pitiful, her expression pleading. Just tell me this one last time, okay? Her eyes were dark and bright, fixed on mine, and for a split second, I was mesmerized. In that moment of hesitation, she leaned in and kissed me. I closed my eyes with a sense of weary resignation. This woman was a siren. The kiss was long and deep, stirring a flicker of reluctance in me that I hated to admit. When it was over, she settled back into the passenger seat, a look of victorious delight on her face. You kissed me back, she declared. That means you have to help me. Drive to my parents' house. I looked at her, then let out a long, defeated sigh. The car started moving. When we arrived at my former in-law's home, dinner was already on the table. My ex-father-in-law was as boisterous as ever, pulling out a bottle of expensive whiskey and declaring that he and I wouldn't stop until one of us was under the table. I smiled politely and told him I couldn't drink because I was driving. In response, Evelyn announced that she could drive us back, so I should drink up. I had no choice but to go along with it. The meal was filled with laughter and cheerful conversation. I did my best to play the part for her parents. By the time we left, it was late. My ex-father-in-law insisted I stay the night, but I politely refused. As we walked out, Evelyn gave me a long, searching look. Thank you, she said. There was no sarcasm, no ulterior motive. It was a simple, genuine thanks. Don't mention it. Your dad has always been good to me. It's only right that I return the favor and keep him happy. She tilted her head, lost in thought. Taking my car keys from my hand, she slipped into the driver's seat. I had been drinking, so I had no choice. She drove to my condo building and killed the engine. The whiskey I'd had earlier was starting to hit me hard. Her father's new stuff was much stronger than I remembered. I stumbled out of the car, feeling the world tilt. Evelyn, in her heels, hurried over to steady me. Her body was soft, and I used to love holding her, breathing in her unique scent. The warm, hazy feeling of the alcohol dismantled my defenses. I didn't push her away. I let her help me upstairs. My 1,000-square-foot condo was nothing compared to her palatial penthouse, but neither of us had time to notice our surroundings. She had already pushed me back onto the bed in the master bedroom, and I didn't push her away. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding hangover. Seeing Evelyn sleeping peacefully beside me only made my head hurt more. Things were messier than ever. I couldn't figure her out. Did she get some kind of thrill from cheating? When we were together, she was always emotionally entangled with Julian. Now that I'd set her free to be with him, she was back in my bed. And I was just as pathetic. Why didn't I stay strong yesterday? Why didn't I push her away? My phone buzzed. I opened it to a text from Chloe. Chloe, Connor, I'm going shopping for a party tonight. Want to come with and help me pick something out? I shut my phone in frustration. That woman was determined to stir up trouble. What was she doing now? Trying to seduce her best friend's ex-husband. My first instinct was to block her. But then, my eyes drifted back to Evelyn, and I changed my mind. Connor, sure. Let's see just how far this twisted drama would go. I chose a casual outfit and left, not knowing when Evelyn woke up or when she left. The next time I saw her was at the party that evening. The theme, dreamed up by someone with a sick sense of humor, was chaos. It was fitting, I thought with a cynical smirk. When Evelyn arrived, dressed in a stunning post-apocalyptic style gown, she froze. Her eyes landed on Chloe, who was clinging to my arm, laughing so hard she could barely stand. Seeing Evelyn, Chloe detached from me and ran over to hug her warmly. Evie, I knew it. You always have the most creative outfits. Come see the vintage action figure I found today. I hunted for it all day. Chloe held up her prize for Evelyn to see. Evelyn's gaze flickered between the action figure, Chloe, and me. Her smile slowly turned to ice. It seemed she was finally getting a taste of her own medicine. But I have to say, Chloe continued, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. I had my own white knight helping me today. He's the only reason I found the right outfit and all this other cool stuff. So, a huge thank you to today's hero, Connor Morgan. The group applauded again. I had expected Evelyn, with her pride, to storm out in a rage. Instead, she broke into a brilliant smile and walked over, linking her arm through my other one. Well, that explains it, she said sweetly. I was wondering why you disappeared so quickly this morning. I wasn't even awake yet, and you were gone. I thought you'd gone on one of your sudden fishing trips. And just like that, the situation got even more chaotic. Everyone watched the spectacle, the man with a beautiful woman on each arm, with knowing, silent smiles. I had come here to watch a comedy of errors, and now I was the main act. Being the bad guy wasn't as easy as it looked. Evelyn's words were a clear announcement to everyone. Divorced or not, I was still the man in her bed. Chloe froze on the spot, clearly not expecting that we were still entangled months after the divorce. But parties have a life of their own, and the crowd was soon distracted by other conversations and activities. Chloe joined another group, but Evelyn remained attached to my arm. This was a level of public affection she had never shown me before. We're divorced, remember? I whispered to her. I haven't forgotten. You're single now. And if you're single, other people can date you, which means I can date you too. Right? She tilted her face up, a defiant look in her eyes. Her logic was so twisted it left me speechless. I knew she was just messing with me, but I had no counter-argument. Are you just looking for a thrill? Is that why you're so obsessed with your ex-husband? Her eyes fell for a moment, then rose to meet mine again. I'm looking for a cure. A cure for what? For regret. I couldn't deal with her games anymore. I decided to leave early. Evelyn followed me out, blocking my path to the parking lot. Her expression was dark, a stark contrast to the watery soft demeanor she had inside. When did you and Chloe get together? Are you a couple? Have you slept with her? The questions came out in a rapid-fire burst. Is that any of your business? It was the perfect dismissive response. Whatever I did now, it had nothing to do with her. That woman, I won't let her get away with this. You should probably give up on that. She's richer than you, younger than you, and has more friends. How exactly are you going to not let her get away with it? Every word I said was a deliberate jab at her weak spots, as if inflicting that pain could somehow balance the scales of our past. Evelyn's face cycled through shades of red and white. Just when I thought she was about to explode, she collapsed into my arms. Connor, she started pounding on my shoulder, and then she began to cry. In all the years I'd known her, I had almost never seen her cry. She was always the one in control, the one who made all the decisions, expecting the world to bend to her will. This helpless, broken version of her was a rare sight. I sighed. Fine, let her cry it out. After this, we could go our separate ways, back to our own lives. Evelyn wanted to come back to my place, but I didn't give her the chance. When I got home, Chloe was blowing up my phone again. Connor, you finally decided to pick up? What is it? You're divorced from Evelyn, right? So why are you still living with her? I was about to hit her with my new favorite phrase. It's none of your business, but I paused. It might be more interesting to see how she'd play this out. It's nothing. We just drank too much. There was a short silence on the other end of the line. I didn't care what she was thinking. I just wanted to see how much messier this pot of porridge could get. Are you two getting back together? She asked. No. Then let's go see a movie tomorrow. Just the two of us. Okay. After hanging up, a strange feeling settled in my gut. Was I just trying to get revenge on Evelyn? And what was the point of it all? The next day, after work, I was about to head to the movie theater when my boss, Mark, caught me. He needed me to work late. Our financial consultant, Dr. Reed, had provided some new recommendations, and he wanted me to draft a strategic plan for our department based on her input. A detailed plan like that wasn't something I could finish in an hour. Mark, I could work all night and still not be done with this. Come on, Connor. The sooner the better. It looked like there was no escaping it. I texted Chloe to tell her I couldn't make it. Her response was even more insistent. She said she'd wait for me, no matter how late I finished. God, a movie after hours of overtime? My body would completely break down. I told her no again and settled in for a long night of work. It was after 11 when I finally finished up. The office was deserted. I drove home in a daze, and when I stepped out of the elevator, I saw her. Evelyn, waiting by my apartment door. She was holding a bottle of red wine and a bag of takeout, a small smile playing on her lips. This demon, she just wouldn't let me go. Inside, she moved with a familiar ease, setting the food on the table and finding 2 glasses for the wine. I sank onto the sofa and watched her bustle around, finally deciding to confront her. What do you really want, Evelyn? She looked at me, her voice soft. I want to remarry you. We're in the past, Evelyn. You can move on now. Build a new life. Be with Julian, for instance. I don't love him. But you don't love me either, I said, my voice calm as I stated the fundamental problem between us. Her mouth opened to object, then closed without a sound. Are you trying to punish me? Because I'm already being punished, she said. She still didn't understand the core issue, didn't understand what I truly wanted. It wasn't her body or a legal document. It was her heart, but it seemed like she didn't have one to give. Do you love Chloe? She asked, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Chloe? Love her? That was a joke. With or without Evelyn in the picture, I would never fall for a woman with such a venomous heart. My silence seemed to hurt her more than an answer would have. She walked over to the table, poured a glass of red wine, and downed it in one go. As if that wasn't enough, she refilled the glass and went to do it again. I watched her descend into a frantic state and quickly jumped up to grab the glass from her hand. If you want to drink yourself into oblivion, do it at your own place, not here. I don't want to deal with the fallout. My words broke through her defenses. She screamed at me. Fallout with who? With Chloe? Let me tell you, she's a liar. She lied to me, and she'll lie to you too. Looking at her, so furious and unraveled, I suddenly felt a pang of pity. She had lived a proud, charmed life for 30 years, convinced of her success in her career and her flawless life. She was always decisive, always in charge. To stumble so badly in her marriage must have been a devastating blow. She reached for the wine glass again. I snatched it from her and drank the contents myself. The wine was strong. Seeing her plan thwarted, and probably feeling embarrassed, she tried to wrestle the bottle from me. I wouldn't let her have it. In her state, she'd only cause more trouble. Perhaps we were standing too close. The air between us crackled with a dangerous energy. I don't know when the wine glasses were set aside, or who kissed whom first, but soon we were lost in a chaotic, desperate embrace, our clothes leaving a trail from the living room to the bedroom. I hit backspace, deleting the typo on my screen. My eyes kept drifting toward Mark's office. Evelyn was here again. Her visits always sent a ripple through the department. The women loved to watch her, and the men loved it even more. They even speculated about whether she had a boyfriend. Whenever I heard them, I'd snort to myself, boyfriend? She has an endless supply. But I had to admit, whenever Evelyn appeared, she commanded my attention. She and Mark were in his office for the entire morning. I had no idea what they were talking about, but Mark was grinning from ear to ear, all professional decorum forgotten. Why was he acting happier to see a beautiful woman than his own mother? I silently judged him. When Evelyn finally emerged, I pretended to be deeply engrossed in writing my plan, my eyes fixed on my monitor. The moment she left our area, the office erupted in a buzz of conversation as everyone shared the snippets they had overheard. I thought she would try to bother me again, but this time, she was surprisingly brisk. Not even a text message. Maybe the novelty of the ex-husband role had worn off, and she decided it was boring and time to make a clean break. An image of our passionate night flashed through my mind, a heat so different from the icy distance she projected now. Fire and ice. Mark called me into his office. He told me that Evelyn had sung my praises, and that I should keep up the good work. Walking out, I didn't even realize I was smiling until a colleague asked me what good news had me grinning like a fool. It was only then that I became aware of it. Evelyn's influence over me had never really stopped. I ran a hand through my hair, trying to suppress the bubbling joy rising from deep within me. But it was a futile effort. It turns out that just as you can't calm a troubled mind, you can't suppress a happy one either. God, save me from this. Soon, an opportunity for salvation arrived. The company was sending a team to a major trade show in Chicago and had booked a booth. They asked me to go, and I eagerly accepted. It would be the perfect chance to put some distance between us, to let our strange relationship cool down. We were emotionally frigid, but physically on fire, and that wasn't what I wanted. I just wanted a quiet life, to eventually find someone I could build a future with. The life I'd had was too exhausting. I was tired. The flight was booked, and soon I was on my way to Chicago. The days at the trade show were a whirlwind of activity, so frantic that I barely had time to look at my phone. Both Chloe and Evelyn had messaged me, but I hadn't replied to either of them. I had no time for their high-stakes drama. After the show wrapped up, Mark called and told me to take a couple of extra days in Chicago to relax, a special bonus for a job well done. I figured after working so hard, a little break was a good idea. I never expected that even in Chicago, I couldn't escape Evelyn. She was standing at the entrance to Navy Pier like some kind of mischievous pixie, a playful smile on her face as she watched me approach. My plan had been to just wander around a bit, but now that the princess had arrived, the day was destined to become far more complicated. We rode the Ferris wheel, played carnival games, and posed for pictures with costume characters. Her laughter echoed across the pier. As twilight settled over the city, we finally left. We walked to the edge of the lake in a comfortable silence, listening to the waves. After a while, I decided it was time to head back. Evelyn didn't say a word, just followed a few steps behind me. I couldn't exactly tell her to get lost, so I just let her be. It was the same old story. We got back to my hotel room, and she clung to me like a leech. I had rehearsed it in my head 100 times, warned myself over and over. When you see Evelyn, you have to push her away, keep your distance. But every time she threw herself at me like this, all my resolve melted away. It was like a reflex. I just held her tighter. Connor, can't you have a little bit of self-respect? The moment I got back from Chicago, my phone rang. It was Chloe. I was starting to suspect she'd planted a tracking device on me. How else could she know my exact movements? At that moment, Evelyn was draped over me on the sofa, feeding me grapes. Connor, I've booked a table at Aura Lounge tonight. A welcome-home dinner for you. Aura Lounge was a high-end, members-only restaurant. You couldn't get in without a membership. I knew Chloe's intentions were anything but pure. A week ago, I might have been interested in watching her little show, but now I just wanted to be free of all their drama. The woman currently using me as a chaise lounge was more than enough trouble. I was about to refuse when Evelyn covered my mouth with her hand. She leaned in, her breath warm against my ear, and whispered for me to accept Chloe's invitation. I had no idea what game she was playing, but I agreed. Evelyn slowly sat up, pulling the sash of her silk robe tighter. She looked at me with a probing gaze. Do you know why Chloe invited you to dinner? She asked slowly. What else could it be? She's after my body. Evelyn was so surprised by my bluntness that she burst out laughing. Tough luck. It's not available for her. Evelyn, how long are you going to torture me like this? I truly didn't understand her. If she loved me, why did she treat me so horribly in the past? If she didn't love me, then what was this? This shameless, desperate pursuit of me. Am I only torturing you? Do you think I'm not torturing myself? I follow you around no matter how cold you are to me. Why do you think I'm putting myself through this? I looked at her, trying to find the answer in her tear-filled eyes. Do you really need me to say it out loud? She looked almost shy, but I still wasn't sure. I can't live without you, Connor. I can't. My hand slowly rose to her face, gently wiping away a tear from the corner of her eye. Compared to the past, I was truly heartless now. Before, the slightest hint of a bad mood from her would have sent me into a full-blown panic. Now, I could calmly wipe away her tears. What did I really gain from this whole mess? That evening, when Evelyn and I walked into Aura Lounge together, Chloe's jaw nearly hit the floor. As always, Evelyn glided forward with a radiant smile to greet her. Chloe, thank you so much for this. Connor and I were just talking in Chicago about getting everyone together when we got back. I can't believe you were thinking the same thing. You saved me the trouble of organizing it. Thank you. Chloe's eyes darted from Evelyn to me. Ignoring Evelyn's words, she asked me directly, You two went to Chicago together? I looked from one to the other. I have to make a choice. And so, I heard myself say, Yes, we went together. Hearing my confirmation, Chloe let out a cold, sharp laugh. And Julian didn't go? I thought you three always enjoyed a good threesome. The pretense was gone. The claws were out. Julian? Evelyn replied languidly. He's not worthy. This time, it was my turn to be shocked. Evelyn had always held Julian in such high regard, constantly emphasizing that he was her childhood best friend, closer than a brother. Why would she say something like that now? Is that so? Chloe pressed, going for the kill. If he's not worthy, then why did you divorce Connor over him? Chloe was aiming for a fatal blow, but Evelyn was prepared. She didn't fall into the trap. The divorce? That was always between me and Connor. It had nothing to do with anyone else. And now that we're getting remarried, that's also just between the two of us. It's no one else's business. At the word remarried, Chloe's face turned a ghastly shade of pale. I could have exposed the lie, but I didn't want to, not when the one telling it was Evelyn. You're getting remarried? Chloe looked at me, her eyes welling up with tears. She was a beautiful woman, too. It was a shame her actions were so ugly. I nodded. After my confirmation, Chloe snatched her wine glass from the table and hurled it in our direction. I pulled Evelyn behind me, just in time to shield her. If you dare to hurt Evelyn, I won't let you get away with it, I warned her. Hearing this, Chloe laughed again, a choked, broken sound. You won't let me get away with it? Even if I hadn't hurt her, have you ever let me off the hook? I met you first. I introduced you to Evelyn, Connor. By this point, Chloe was hysterical, the confession she'd suppressed for years finally bursting out. It was me. I'm the one who introduced you. And you turned around and chased after her. What does she have that I don't? She doesn't appreciate you. She treats you like a servant, ignores your feelings, and spends all her time with that Julian. They were never just friends. Why couldn't you see that? The one who truly loves you, who cares about you, is me. It's always been me, Chloe. She was sobbing, her pain raw and real. But my heart had already been given away to the demanding, emotionally clumsy, and clueless woman beside me. Even if Evelyn never existed, I would never have been interested in you, I said, the words cruel but necessary to shatter any lingering fantasy. Chloe refused to believe a word I said, just shouting and screaming like she'd lost her mind. I took Evelyn's hand and led her out of the restaurant. I had never wanted to come in the first place. Now that everything was out in the open, it was time to leave. For once, Evelyn was uncharacteristically obedient. She sat quietly in the passenger seat, her eyes fixed on me. Why are you staring at me? What? Can't a girl look at her ex-husband? I smiled, a real, relieved smile. I finally understood. Letting go of the past didn't mean you had to cut off all emotion. Sometimes embracing a love that was late to arrive was a choice, too. No, you can't, I teased. Because my ex-wife is incredibly possessive. She keeps occupying my time, even after the divorce. Evelyn, of course, couldn't let that slide. She grabbed my tie and pulled me closer, a wicked glint in her eye. Just drive. When we get home, you'll see how I deal with you. And me? I was more than happy to obey. I pressed the accelerator, ready to go home and face my punishment.